Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane fit to hold office? Why has Mkhwebane backtracked on her proposal for the mandate of the Reserve Bank to be amended? Is it not time for the country to debate about the relevance of the Reserve Bank? And is the Reserve Bank of any benefit to ordinary South Africans? What time is it? It's question time. Kgotsong and welcome to the show. My name is Mpho Tsedu. The Office of the Public Protector is back under the spotlight. This after Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane announced the withdrawal of her proposal for Parliament to amend legislation in order to change the mandate of the Reserve Bank. At the time, Mkhwebane suggested that the mandate of the bank be expanded to ensure that the socio-economic well-being of the citizens are also protected. The key mandate of the bank is to achieve and maintain price stability in the interest of balanced and sustainable economic growth. While the Economic Freedom Fighters has called on Mkhwebane to resign, the DA says she has some explanation to do. In another development, though, Mkhwebane has announced her intention to oppose President Jacob Zuma's bid to stop the inquiry into state capture. We are live. Therefore, you can call us and air your views. The numbers to dial 089-110-4210. Our international line +27891104210. Or tweet us your comments at QuestionTime24 is our Twitter handle. My guest today, Advocate Mahlodi Sam Moape. He's a legal expert, and joining us from our Sea Point studio is Glenys Breitenbach. She is the Democratic Alliance Member of Parliament. Let me welcome you both. Glenys, welcome to the show as well. Advocate Moape, let me just start with you. What the Public Protector has done, obviously it is within her rights to either backtrack, as people are calling it, or to change minds based on, I guess, new evidence that may have surfaced that says to her, look, it won't be worth it to pursue this matter, it will be worth it to pursue the other.
I would imagine that with the information she was seized with, she probably or she ought to have taken a decision, a rational decision, you know, just looking at the documents she had. And I think that that's probably the case. And I would imagine also that she got into this position as Public Protector, you know, during this period, which is a very thorny period for all of us. You know, it's clouded and crowded by many side issues. And so she's probably under immense pressure to be seen, to be completely independent. But I also think that she has to be surrounded by, because she's new in the position, we have to acknowledge that fact. Anybody, even a predecessor, in the first 2 years or so, she was basically feeling the feelers, getting to understand the position. Now, with the current Public Protector, unfortunately for her, you know, she got into the deep end of things, and she really has to hit the road running. And she's got to try utmost best to take decisions which meets, you know, the rational test at all costs at any given time, so that whatever decision she takes doesn't end up costing the country a lot of money. Even in terms of reversing the decision or saying no, I was ill-advised, or then I got a counter advice from a senior counsel. All those things cost money which we do not have. So it's important for her, and I think for us as South Africans, to try and give her space and not to rush her into taking decisions without thinking them through.
Okay. Glennis, I'm not so sure if we should trust the DA's position, you know, in as far as the public protector is concerned. You didn't want her in the first place.
No, we didn't want her, and we didn't support her appointment. We voted against it, and for what we believe were very good reasons.
Yeah.
Her little sojourn at State Security has not been explained. And we said at the time that she lacked experience, and she lacked relevant experience.
But obviously,
and she's shown to be lacking in experience and relevant experience.
Yeah, but now, Clarence, so I would suppose, therefore, that the DA believes that Busisiwe Mkhwebane is not fit to hold the public protector's office. Therefore, what are your views in as far as this backtracking is concerned on these Reserve Bank mandate matter is concerned?
Well, let me say this. When we opposed her appointment, and when we said that she lacked the wherewithal to do the job, we sincerely hoped that she would prove us wrong. South Africa needs a public protector, and we need an independent and a good public protector who can do the job. And so nobody would have been happier than ourselves if she had proven us wrong. But she hasn't. As far as this report goes and her backtracking, there was no pressure on her to produce this report. There was all the time in the world for her to get as much advice as she needed. She produced the report. She chose to rely on the advice of some seriously dubious people and produce a report that caused the rand to nosedive, lost a fortune on, and now is costing us a fortune because the Reserve Bank can take her on review, ABSA is taking her on review, and now she says she's not going to pose it in tenders costs. This is a month down the line. She's now gotten legal advice that she should have gotten long before she published the report. And to tender costs is a nonsense. It's not her money. It's your and my money. It's taxpayers' money. That office is seriously underfunded. And to spend money on spurious litigation is shockingly inappropriate. And she can't continue like this. And today, again, she did another flip-flop. She's an advocate in her own right. She has competent personnel to advise her. She's got plenty of access to whoever she needs to give her advice. And this simply isn't good enough. It can't go on. Okay.
Nathan, you are in Swellendam. Welcome.
Hi, Umpo. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for the call, Nathan.
Yeah, I've got a comment, man.
Okay, go ahead.
We talk about the public protector, but nobody, not even the government, is looking after the poorest of the poor and the rural people, you know. Now, people is standing up and fight for the people on the ground. But nobody fight when Zuma get into office and put the salary up with 50%. First, they drive the apartheid horse down to the ground. Now they've got another 2 horses. Is the radical change and white monopoly. So the public protector must open all these things so that the people on the ground, our people, the poorest of the poor, can see what's going on in government. They steal too much, and Zuma is just throwing cold water over everything. The ANC is also fighting now against the public protector because she's going to bring things in light so that the people can see what's going on in government. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much, Nathan, there in Swellendam. But is it not important for South Africans to know or to have a reformed Reserve Bank?
I think it's important for South Africans to be well informed. I remember some few months ago, I wrote an opinion piece basically talking about that it's important for the Constitution to be taught, even at school levels, because what is missing here is a clear understanding of how the Constitution works, a clear understanding of how Chapter 9 institutions work. And I think if people can understand all those things properly, I'm sure we can save a lot of money in litigating, because it is very costly to litigate. Lawyers are very expensive. Some decisions are fairly simple to get at. I mean, and I wouldn't even say Advocate Mkhwebane spuriously released the report. She probably thought objectively at the time that this was a just report. Even lawyers sometimes fail to understand the separation of powers. I have been really been impressed by the judgments we are getting from the Concord, you know, because the Concord slowly is beginning to educate us on what the separation of powers doctrine is. The Concord now and then shows us that, no, we are giving a legal decision here, but if this decision has got to be implemented in another sphere of government, Parliament, for example, it doesn't instruct. It basically says Parliament has got a duty to rectify this thing, to look at this thing. So that's basically what we've got to do. You'd understand that the Reserve Bank has got a constitutional mandate, which unfortunately, majority of South Africans don't probably even understand it properly. So it's very unfortunate that a Chapter 9 institution or any other institution can go and traverse into the mandate of the Reserve Bank. So I think that was the most unfortunate part about the Public Protector's report. And I'm sure she realizes that mistake. I still don't think that in any event, if such a mistake is made, therefore someone's head must be chopped, because we'll remain without people. Because if it means that if a mistake is done, then that person who made a mistake, all of a sudden that person must resign or must be chopped. And perhaps, you know, in politics, you know, anything is possible. In this climate, it's so much easier for, say, as Party X, we didn't support the appointment of the Public Protector. Now, this was the most transparent process of appointing the Public Protector, which all parties, you don't have to agree, but if you are in that committee, and finally, substantively, the majority view holds, and you are part of that committee, you are bound by that committee.
Hold it. Let's take Godfrey. Godfrey, you're in Soshanguve. Welcome.
Yes, how are you?
I'm well. Thanks for the call. According
to me, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, according to me, my understanding, our Public Protector, she's not doing things by herself. There is, what you call, an instructor. So, I can't say what is Nanelamang, but there is a top dog there who's telling her what to do.
Are we the top dog, Baragod?
No, I'm not the top dog, but this is politics, my politics in tweet. So, Muto, what was relevant to but no more instruction.
Okay.
Yes.
My God. Thanks, Mtate Godfrey there in Soshanguve. Glennis, Godfrey there says, well, he maintains that there's some top dog somewhere that's shouting instructions at Busisiwe Mkhwebane. Do you suspect so? And if so, who would it be? For what purposes?
Well, I don't think that Godfrey has necessarily got it wrong. I think he may be closer to the mark than he thinks. And of course, I have no idea who is the person giving Ms. Mkhwebane instructions. She should, however, be independent. Her appointment requires her to be independent, and she should be fiercely independent. She must tell us who gave her this dreadful advice, and she must tell us why she followed it. We must study her affidavit very, very carefully, and I've written to the chairman of the Portfolio Committee of Justice to call her before the committee so that she can come and explain these things. Who gave her the advice to write that fundamentally flawed report? And why did she think at the time that it was good advice? When it so patently is an overreach and so patently was unconstitutional to instruct Parliament to amend the Constitution. It is it beggars the imagination. It cannot be done. So I don't necessarily think that Godfrey is incorrect, and it's I think upon Ms. Mkhwebane to come explain to us exactly how this happened.
Okay, let's go to Ermelo. Is it Emelo?
Yes.
Yes, Prince, you are in Emelo. Welcome.
Yes. Thanks for letting me through. Good evening to the gentleman and the lady on the studio. It raises a lot of questions with this issue of the public protector.
Okay.
One of the questions, number one, is she wrong if she's saying the mandate of the South African Reserve Bank has to be extended so that it can touch the lives of the poorest? Because the majority of we South Africans, we are suffering poor. And we, as the people on the ground, we fully support the public protector. Not these politicians that you have there in the studio, because they are not affected with what is going on right now in the country. We are suffering poor, and we need people like her to come up and say, this is what is happening. For an example, is it a lie that Absa was given money by the South African Reserve Bank during the apartheid era? It's not a lie. It's there. It's proven. So we need people like her to come up and raise this type of issues. Now that she's pointing the finger at the South African Reserve Bank, obviously, by the way, it means obviously the South African Reserve Bank is owned by few people who's actually driving the economy of the country. And another thing, the South African Reserve Bank itself, what does it do to protect the currency of South Africa? Does it protect it by creating more wealth for the country, or does it protect the currency by hitting back on the poor? You know what I mean? So we actually need her to actually stand up, and we as the South African people on the ground, we must fully support her. You know, not the politicians. We all know now that the politicians are simply there to get to actually worsen the situation that is happening now in our country. We fully support her. We will back her up. In fact, if they can make this thing publicly so that everyone, each and every individual in South Africa can have a say, we can debate about this. We then can debate and fully support her, because we really are now under pressure with this economy thing that is happening in our country.
Prince, thank you very much. That from Emelo. Clarence, let me allow you to respond to that call.
Well, I'm sorry that Prince feels that politicians don't care about ordinary South Africans. It's the reason we're in Parliament is because we do care about ordinary South Africans, and it's our job to protect their interests, and we're doing it to the best of our ability every single day. The Public Protector has done nothing to protect the people of South Africa in this CX report. She has caused the rand to take a nosedive, and it hasn't recovered. She tried to force Parliament to amend the mandate of the Reserve Bank to remove the only safeguard that the people have to protect the currency. The Reserve Bank's job is not that of a commercial bank. Its main function is to protect our currency, to protect our foreign reserves, and to make sure that the interest rate reflects a position where our currency is protected.
Okay.
To change that willy-nilly is in fact not in the interests of the ordinary South Africans. Gift,
you are in East London. Welcome.
How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for the call, Gift.
Fine, Paul. I'm fully behind the new public protector.
Okay.
You know what? She accepted that she made a mistake. Even the guy from head of NPA, Sean Abrahams,
yes.
he did make a mistake.
You understand? He reversed the decision that he took for Pravin Gordhan. This is a human being, public protector. But now I've got a problem about her. You understand? I don't understand why he doesn't seek advice from predecessor Thuli Madonsela, because Thuli Madonsela is not a god. She is not God, but she was attempted Thuli Madonsela left and right, but Thuli Madonsela, she's got a backbone. I'm telling you. I don't know why she doesn't ask help from her predecessor Thuli Madonsela. That's what my problem. That is the only problem that I have with Busisiwe Mkhweba.
Okay, gift. Thanks very much. Gift there in East London. Let me, perhaps from a legal point of view, can this decision that she has taken, can it be termed illegal?
I don't think it's an illegal decision.
Yeah.
She looked at the papers before her and came to that determination. So, but I think the biggest problem with this decision is that it is prescriptive. She is basically telling other organs what to do and how to do that, which is not her mandate. But I don't think it can be termed to be illegal.
So is it something that can or should be challenged?
It is
legally?
Well, it is being challenged, by the way. The Reserve Bank filed papers, the Minister of Finance did the same, and so is ABSA and everybody else. So I think it was a wise move, even though it is costly to the taxpayers, for her to see that there is no point in litigating, because it would be like she's litigating vexatiously in a situation where she knows she doesn't have a case. So I think for that, insofar as that is concerned, she should be applauded. But having said that, the public protector is new in that establishment, but she's surrounded by highly experienced people who have been there for years. And I think it's important for her to have confidence and confide in them, so that they can give her legal advice. And just perhaps to say also that even the issue of saying ABSA must pay and all sorts of things, in law, cases prescribe after a certain period. So even if we were to say we've got to sue ABSA, I mean, this case must have prescribed some years back, because I know that our previous state president, Thabo Mbeki, also dealt with this matter and decided not to do anything about it. Okay. Judge Dennis Davis, a very well-known judge, looked at this matter and came to a conclusion as well, which is completely different from our public protector. Perhaps in her work, she should learn to be broader in terms of researching. And there must be a pool of people who can assist her in doing those things.
Clemens, let me give you final thoughts. What can we expect from the DA in as far as these matters are concerned at the Public Protector's Office?
Well, you can certainly expect us to look very, very carefully at her affidavit and the surrounding documentation. We certainly have every intention of asking her to appear before the Justice Portfolio Committee so that she can explain herself. And then we'll have to very carefully weigh all of that information and see if we think that it was a bona fide error, which is very, very hard to contemplate, or whether we should take action to remove her from her post. But we will certainly have to look at all the facts first and consider them all very carefully. It's not an easy thing to remove a public protector. It's not a step that we would take lightly. But we'd have to consider all the relevant factors, and then certainly we will take a position on it. But things aren't looking good. Let me say that she has been a resounding disappointment.
Okay, Clemens Brighton back there, and Advocate Mahlodi Moape. That was question time for today. A big thank you to my guests and to you for watching the show. From me and the entire crew, I have a thought.
Well, a very good morning and welcome to AM News Live at 10:00 hours across all Central Africa region.